How many times, dear traveler, will you walk the same path?
Hello, and welcome to Legendarium Green Team's Malazan series. Welcome to episode 3 of the House of Chain series. I'm Hurinfan, and I am joined today by BefuddledPanda.
Do-do-do-do. Hi!
JasnahAsABoy.
Hello!
And Ashaman.
Hey, everyone.
Ashaman and myself are Malazan veterans. BefuddledPanda and Jasnah are reading the series the first time. We're covering chapters 12 through 17, so spoilers for everything up until then, and we're going to use our regular format. Buongiorno!
Chapter 12. Andarist and Cutter fight a wave of Eater, and Cutter is then sent to find and recruit the Malazans on the island. Traveler and Cotillion defeat the next wave. Kalam investigates a well and angers a body snatcher, which he later kills. We get insight into a perfect marriage. Trull and Onrak escape the Nascent, and the Imas go got hunting. Pearl and Lestara come upon a crucified dragon.
This chapter had a lot of stuff, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it was pretty eventful.
The first thing that comes up to me is, well, I guess the Ototaro dragon. Who doesn't want to know more about that?
Yes.
Yeah, are you guys familiar with Brian Blessed?
No.
So he's this British actor. He's a real great big fat man with a huge beard, and he always plays these like super boisterous characters. He's in Blackadder as King Richard IV, and he's always like bellowing everything. I swear, when I saw the Ototaro dragon, I heard him go, "What?" in my ear. Like as soon as I was just like, "What?"
And I'm not sure if this is the first time we've learned this, but we also get the information that every dragon, or the foundations of magic, are all from dragons, basically. Like every dragon is aspected to a certain something. And to balance that out, we have one of Ototaro.
What if all the Warrens are really just like tunneled by dragons? Like what it is.
So, Lestara, Yil, and Pearl found them. How are you enjoying their dichotomy?
It's fine.
Jasnah?
I like how he's like this. She's like noticing that he's like this stereotypical like dude trying to impress a chick and keeps on like snarkily commenting on it. But then like she feels bad for not like sometimes indulging him. I don't know.
Girl, you do not need to feel bad.
They grew on me. I hated Pearl forever, but
I don't hate him.
Yeah, I don't like Pearl, but I do like their dynamic.
It is funny in parts. But out of all the duos, they're not my favorite.
Oh, of course not. Right. Who is your favorite?
My wife and I are both often Pearl in the relationship. So if we both acted like Lestara Yil all the time, then we'd both be so miserable because neither one of us indulging the other one, like trying to pontificate on everything and act like they know more than they do and all that.
You gotta
indulge it sometimes.
Oh man, I so relate to Pearl there. I'm fine admitting that I don't know stuff, but it's so much more fun to just make things up, like, and just wildly speculate. Yeah.
I used to be like Pearl, and now I start with I don't know, and then go, but what if this, and then start the speculating.
Mm-hmm. Karen, you were asking me who my favorite duo is.
Oh yeah.
I'm really enjoying Fiddler and Cuddle, and I don't have enough of them in these chapters.
Two sappers interacting.
Mm-hmm.
I like Cuddle.
I
I've always liked Cuddle ever since his first showing in this book when he just blew up something to get everyone to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
He also killed Palkalar, or he wants to kill Palkalar, and he killed one of the other nobles that were terrible.
Lenestara.
Yeah. That's right. Lenestro.
Who's your favorite duo so far, Jasnah?
Onrak and Troll. Because they're sad and tragic. But it's so
I like the happy ones. Yeah. They're a good pair.
Mine's definitely Mappo Ikari, even though we only got them for one chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't think we were counting that.
They're a duo.
They always count.
I have a joke later. It probably will fall flat, but I'll try it.
Excellent.
Anyway.
You set it up perfectly.
Yeah.
One last thing about the Odotarl Dragon. This
Yeah.
has one of the best pieces of art in the series, in my opinion. It's
Oh,
so
okay.
cool.
Yes. So when I finally got to the part of the review of the dragon, I messaged in our DM and I was like, "Oh my goodness, Ototaro dragon!" And then immediately, Kieran's like, "Would you like to see some art?" And I was like, "Oh my god, yes!" Did not
It's
disappoint.
Amazing pieces.
Yes.
I saw
I'm pretty
that
impressed with this
artwork.
good work.
I saw that artwork when I was reading Gardens, I think. So now
Oh,
I
really?
finally understand it.
Mm.
I bet that was confusing.
I was just like, I have something to look forward to. What's going on?
We can move on. Something else that really stood out to me in this chapter is that sword that Darist has.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like an interesting sword. I don't know what the
Vengeance.
backstory is like. Vengeance or grief,
Yeah.
depending on the wielder.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Better
Now that
apparently
we're
choose vengeance.
talking about, wait, is it? Yes. Now that we're talking about the sword, well, Darius dies, right? And the sword has a new owner, and it's this dude that's just named Traveler. But we all know who this guy is. Come on,
This
right?
girl bust.
It is not Girl
Dasim
Pust.
Ultor.
It's Dasim.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's definitely Dasim.
Yes,
It's not impossible as Dasim.
it's
Thank
more
you.
likely that it's this girl bust.
it is not Pust. The guy does not talk like Pust, and we all know how Pust talks. So,
And we all know that Pust is the master manipulator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm sure Pust will surprise me later, but it's not gonna be this.
I really like Vengeance because it's a sword that
Grief.
basically Vengeance. It does nothing if you're not like a person of like an exceptional person already. Basically, if you're really really cool and have a strong will, then it'll serve you well. If you don't, then just don't even bother.
It's just the sword.
Yeah.
It worked
Actually,
for
yeah.
Darist for a long time.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
said he didn't have a singular will, and it still did things for him, just not
Well.
maybe the same things it'll do for Dasim.
Darist is still not your average Joe. Like, he's nowhere close to being as weak-willed as the average person.
Despite him being really, really old.
Yeah.
And really, really depressed. That poor guy.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
He's a sad boy.
Speaking of Dasim Ultor, right before that scene, we got Blind being summoned and
Oh god,
immediately
yes.
turning into a scared little puppy to this Eeyore, which anything that can scare Blind like that, pretty terrifying. I wonder if it has something to do with the relationship between the Elder Warren of Shadow and Mianas.
Yeah.
Well, they are Hounds of Shadow, right? So,
Yeah, I mean they're from Curled Emerald.
yeah.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
They are
Right, but
much
maybe they're
older
so
than...
awesome compared to everything else because they're hanging out in Mianas and in the mortal realm, and then somebody else that's got access to Carl Emeline can mess
Curled
with them.
Emerald, Mianas, what's the difference?
Honestly, it's all confusing. Rashawn, Sire, blah 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 blah. I try.
You got an epigraph on it.
I did.
That made it much clearer.
Yes, the preliminary analysis of the Warrens. Very, very nice. Very
Mhm.
clear.
See, I actually unironically thought that made everything a lot clearer. I was like, ooh, more. Yes, thank you.
No, it basically just says, yeah, what is the difference between all of them? That's the takeaway.
But yeah, they're not separate, essentially.
It's a spectrum.
Mhm.
So, blind, because remember back when Cotillion came to Cutter and he's like, hey, I got this job for you, right? And then Cutter's like, fine, I'll do it, but on one condition, like, I get to call blind if I'm in mortal danger.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, ooh, okay, this is going to be a really cool scene when he calls blind. And then this happens. Literally, I was like, fine. Erickson subverted my expectation.
I mean, it's still cool because Blind, I'm pretty sure, brings along Cotillion. Or Cotillion's like, oh, Blind's going
That's
somewhere.
true.
I better follow up. Cutter's probably in danger.
Seeing
Yes.
Cotillion fight was really cool.
And
Yeah.
that was what I was gonna say is he was killing people with ropes. And we finally get like a physical manifestation of why Cotillion equals the rope. It's like a rope fighter. I also never knew cotillion was another word for a dance, and that
Yeah.
cotillion dancer.
Dancer,
Yeah,
cotillion,
that might have made it easier to figure that stuff out in Gardens of the Moon.
garden. It's okay. I didn't
I
put it
still wouldn't
together.
have got it. I knew what it was. I didn't catch it.
Yeah.
Speaking about warrens again, we also learned that curled Thirlon is not a sealed warren, whatever that means, and that it's really close to Telon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, because was that the chapter where the Emas entered Thirlon, or
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Leosin are looking for the trespassers, and they were gonna do this ritual to like open the curl Cerulon thing.
I just think of it as curled Leosin, and it does have
Yeah.
that name later. It's just so much
Oh,
easier
okay.
to say and think of.
Oh my
Because
goodness,
I agree.
yes.
Grace Leosin, curled Leosin, yeah.
The R and the L thing. That's
Mm-hmm.
Thyre and Thirlon, and Thyre being the human warren and Thirlon being the elder warren. I mean,
mm,
Yeah, it gives you
I
a
agree.
sense of the
Leosin is easier to say.
genealogy.
But exactly.
It ties into Telon as well.
I think like this whole connection of how the curl Leosin is not a sealed warren and the Talon warren draws from it. I do think for me it's solidifying more that the undead dragon and Gessler, them going in the Solanda through that fiery warren, I do think they are the trespassers. So
Okay.
we'll see.
Um, I really like how the Emas kind of suss out that the Leosin god is super shady and immediately just decide to go kill it. It's like, yeah, this thing needs to die.
Yeah.
The Emas are so cool. And then
That's
they
one
kill
word
it.
for it.
I think
Except
for
they're
me,
fiery. They're very hot, not cool.
That's true. They come from Talon, so I don't think it's mean to kill a pretender god. You know.
It's his wizard familiar.
Well,
yeah,
they didn't
he's
know that.
Lorik's familiar.
It was just a demon that was
Just
manipulating
a
the Leosin
demon,
from what
you
they know.
racist.
Well, it
Yeah,
is a
but
demon, though.
Speciest.
If anything we know about the Leosin is that they deserve it.
Mm.
Maybe the Leosin deserve it. What did that demon do?
Yeah.
Manipulated
Right.
an entire race of people.
But if
He gave them purpose when their god was missing.
He
Yeah,
helps.
it gave them a crutch. Absolutely.
This is not how I
Boo.
thought it was gonna go.
I don't think living life based on a lie is a good thing. But I don't know. Maybe I'm.
But it's
maybe
not
there's
just
different. Maybe there's
it's
different
not just
ideas
a
here.
lie. He also was like keeping, the seat of power of that Warren, like he was
That's
holding
true.
it down. Well,
Yeah, it wasn't a
That's
complete lie. He was also fulfilling a lot of the duties of a god,
Yeah.
supposedly.
And well, is was that a good thing, or is it going to lead to more trouble down the line? Who knows?
we shall see.
We shall see.
but would it have led to trouble if the IMAS didn't decide to go kill themselves a demon just cuz?
Yes, I think so.
Well,
Okay, yes, there's a lot of stuff happened. I don't even know how to get going on this.
It was a long chapter.
It sure
Mhm.
was. I'm gonna go like chronological. How about that? Sergeant Cord and Kalam. Sergeant Cord was so happy to give up command of the company.
Mhm.
Just like that. Just like, nope, you want the burden of command? Sure. Go ahead, Kalam. And then Kalam going into the water. That scene where the statue just like reaches up and grabs him, like I jumped when I was reading.
Mhm.
I was like, oh my god, it's like a horror scene. I hate this scene.
yeah,
Ugh.
It was pretty
it
scary.
was awesome.
Yeah, that demon is pretty demonic.
Well,
Yeah, the poor
yes.
Tobukai.
It was it possessed a Toplikai.
It's another time in this book where somebody unleashed an ancient evil and then was bitten in the ass for it.
Yes, but then he promptly dealt with it.
Yes, but that poor
Encarl? Yeah.
Encarl, like it was just doing its thing. It was just getting a drink of water,
Mhm.
and then next
And
thing
now
it
it's
knows, yeah.
now it's stuck in a Thelamin Toplikai body.
Is that what happened to their switch bodies?
Yes.
Okay.
We got a little perspective from the Incarl in the Toblikai body.
I didn't know if that was the spirit in the Toblikai body. I thought that was like right before it drank the water and got possessed.
I'm pretty
That-
sure it thought about using the body of the Toblakai in that scene.
I'm gonna
I'm
be
fairly sure.
honest. That scene was confusing for me because it was like Tog and Fanderay needed a champion, but then I thought that was before the Incarol role got possessed by the demon. We're all looking at our books.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the, I think they do switch places, but now its soul
Okay.
raged in a strange gelid body, no wings, no thundering hearts, no prey-laden scent to draw from the desert's night air. Something held it down, and imprisonment was proving a swift path to mindless madness. Far
Okay.
above, Fortress was silent and dark.
Yeah. And it goes on for a while, like a page.
Okay.
And then Kalam was like paralyzed, thought he broke his spine.
Mm-hmm.
The demon
Yes.
was inside the Toblakai to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So the demon switched into the Incarl body. And as far as we know, the demon's dead when Kalam killed the Incarl. But I don't know if that's true or not. And then the Incarl is now in the Toblakai body and it has some purpose now.
Well, it's gonna be a champion for Tog and Fanderay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
The idea.
If it can get out of the chains or whatever
And
is
how
holding
many
it down.
champions do they need? They already got a talk.
Yeah, they need a ton, man.
They have Talk as the mortal sword. Yeah.
I thought Immortal Sword was pretty much a champion.
In a lot of ways,
but
yeah.
You could have more than one. I mean, you can have more than one mortal sword, but you can have more than one champion.
Then the champions aren't special. Whatever.
Okay.
And then Kalam gets rescued by Pust.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Plus,
Yeah.
he's a bro.
Famosity.
City, yes. But also, Pust having possession of those shadow diamonds, that is a bit of a scary thought. Like,
You've seen what one of those demons can do.
exactly. I don't really trust Pust with a whole bag full of them. And
I do.
why does Cotillion need Kalam to give Pust the diamonds? Like, couldn't he just give it to him himself?
Gods work in mysterious ways.
Yep.
Maybe he wanted
Ah.
Kalam to have it up to that point in his journey.
Maybe. Well, then Kalam got to keep a few, right? Later on. So,
Did he?
Yeah,
yeah.
I think he kept a few.
Pust gave him some.
Oh, I missed that.
But Pust hiding from Mogora. Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. That's a good duo.
Them
I
chasing each
enjoyed
other
that.
over dishes is so real.
Yes.
We haven't seen each other in months. Perfect marriage.
Yeah. Man, I need a dishwasher. That's what I got out of that scene.
I mean, can you get a machine?
No.
Oh, okay.
Apartment rules.
Oh, that's
Sad.
so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't mind washing the dishes.
Ugh.
I don't either. It lets me read.
I'd rather wash dishes than clean the bathroom.
That I can agree with, yes. But
Mhm.
that's not a high bar.
Fair. Okay, where are we? Onrak pledges himself to troll Sengar.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that as like because he's cut off from his people, he saw like pledging himself to troll as a way to survive, and therefore like troll would have an obligation to keep Onrak around. I don't know.
He gave himself purpose after he lost his purpose.
Okay, yeah, that's a better
He
way
kind
to
of
look
created
at it.
his own.
I think it probably also helped him stay with Trull through the portal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he did it when he did it. You know, just bound himself to Trull.
Mm-hmm.
I like his musings on understanding the people who decided to break ties with the rest of the Emas. He's like, man, I totally get it now.
He does understand. But he still, has that mission, sort of.
Votes anyone?
I had one thing. Oh, right. What do you guys think about Andarist being Animander's brother?
Cool.
Right?
They're very
Yes.
different.
Very different
Yeah.
people, yes. They took different paths in life. And yet Andarist was the one stuck with all of the kids.
I really
None of whom
do.
were his own.
I really do like how Andrus is like, oh yeah, Rake wants blah blah blah. Tell him to come do it himself. Tell him to come tell me himself.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a sad part that like he and Rake weren't able to have one last meeting before Andrus died, which
Mhm.
I think Endurist is dead. I don't think he's coming back. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't think he would come back.
Man, even not being dragon blood stuff, the Tysandi live a long time.
They do.
Animander's been around for a while, let's just say. And
Yes.
Andorist was still kicking by this time, even though he looked really, really, really old.
Yes.
I have no quotes.
Okay, chapter 13.
Great.
Cool. Chapter 13. Leoman departs the whirlwind. Felison Younger is mutilated at the hands of Bidethal. Lorik tries to repair the damage the Imos have done. Hiborik trips out and becomes High Priest of the Furries.
So, it's not by far the least important part of this chapter, but we find out from the Queen of Dreams that Anamander pretended to be human for 200 years.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear that story.
As a
Is it in
bodyguard too.
Carconis?
As a bodyguard.
Yeah. He was taking orders from someone. What's that like?
Probably a relief, depending on when.
Maybe. He strikes me as a kind of person who doesn't like being told what to do. But who knows? We haven't heard that story.
Maybe he was in love.
Anamander?
Yeah.
Maybe. Did any of you grok the Hiboric acid trip?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
I
did?
think-
Wow.
Well,
Grok means to completely understand. That's,
I mean, I
terminology.
understand that it was an acid trip. And
Drinking
like,
a special tea.
yeah, the tea basically was weakening the effects of the Ototaro that was in him. And he basically was in this alien world where maybe that's where the crippled god came from.
Wasn't he like floating in outer space?
Yeah.
Yeah, some kind of abyss.
A good way of interpreting it.
Giants like cartwheeling, being sucked into a rent.
They were jade statues, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, he thought they were pursuing the crippled god, but I'm like, is that just his interpretation? And they're really like being like, oh, we got to rescue our buddy or family member or something, or are they really
asking
pursuing the
questions.
crippled god?
Yeah. And the statues were like filled with people.
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting.
That was unexpected completely. So
And so, like, as soon as the Ototaro is gone, he wakes up and Treach is like, gotcha!
Basically,
He's like a tiger dude now.
you're now my destriant.
He didn't even, like, get any choice. No conversion
No.
of faith. Just like,
Treach isn't big into consent when it comes to appointing his champions.
Mm. Well,
The
Habar
board seemed
got
okay with it afterward.
yeah,
Yeah.
he got something out of it, right? He got like, you know, his strength back and
Vision back.
he's not blind. But he did kind of lose some things. It seemed like he lost a bit of his softer sensitivity.
Yeah, because the
That's-
first thing he said after he got his powers is like, I'm going to have to learn to ignore people's cries around me.
He needs to filter out
Mhm.
the noise. The one part that I did really pick up was he was like, there's the scent of violence in the air, like there was blood.
Mhm.
Oh, it was probably just a domestic dispute, and I'm like, is that Felison Younger getting?
Yes.
Yeah, that was definitely it.
So when Haborik finds out about it, I expect him to have a pretty adverse reaction, but with him and Treach now being paired, I don't know. Maybe he won't be as affected.
They knew he wanted her and they did nothing.
They did nothing.
Should we
Yep.
just talk about it right now?
Might as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Bidethal, a piece of turd.
Yep.
And this section, like, I had a lot of thoughts and reactions to it. Like, my first one was anger, because I was very angry at Bidethal for doing what he did, and I was very angry at Silgar
Mhm.
for his part in it, and all the other people who knew of the danger, but, like, what were they doing? Ah,
right? They totally should have killed Bidethal.
I implore anybody who feels rage at this, which should be everybody, to think about why and blame yourself too, because this kind of stuff happens and you're probably not doing anything to help.
well,
Well,
I
not
think
everyone's in a position to help.
I think there's
There,
some
there are ways to help.
I think there's some nuances and like realities that we have to deal with because like female genital mutilation really is a thing in our world
Mhm.
and it's been a thing for a really long time. There are cultures that practice it because it's tradition, not necessarily because, there's any medical benefits, despite what they may think.
Mhm.
But I think the reasoning, because when you're reading Bidethal's reasoning for doing it, that's where it's a lot of that's the root of the problem, right? And in our DMs, I was like, wow, this is the first like real instance of true sexism that I've seen in Malazan thus far, and I was not expecting it. So it did catch me by surprise by like Bidethal's thinking and rationale, and I was very angry. Like as a woman, I had a very, very strong adverse reaction to this.
Yes. As a man, I also have a strong adverse reaction.
As a human with a heart.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I think Malik Rel has almost nothing on Bidethal. Because Malik Rel, at least he's kind of properly scummy. Bidethal preys on children as like his primary thing. And nope. That's a hard deal breaker for me. I don't
Malik Rel worked with Carvel Dom, who murdered 1,200 children, or tried to
Yes.
at least.
Yes. Like, Malik Rel's not a good person. But like everyone in the whirlwind is working with Cobra Ladam.
They
So
did
like,
nothing.
even Lorik. Yeah, I don't think there's really a good reason for them not to have killed Bidethal.
Well, yeah, I mean, so even if they weren't gonna kill him, which they should have, it was really frustrating because they were like, oh, at least we'll save this one girl that we know, and they like
Mhm.
had a plan for how to save her, and then they just like sat on it, and we're like, oh, this will keep.
None of them were watching her. They all left.
Well, their plan was to send Haborik off with her so that to get her away from Bidethal, and then Haborik just like stayed camped out and didn't leave. And yeah, none of them were watching her. So,
I
of
think
course,
that was that. I don't think that was the original plan from like Leoman and the
yeah,
rest.
no, they were gonna send him
I
to
don't think
the
Carson knew
Jade
about it, at least.
statue. They were gonna send him to the Jade statue with her, and they were like, "Oh, and that'll keep her out of Bidethal's grasp, until the
Yeah,
rest of this stuff will happen." It was talked about.
Fellison Younger was gonna go with
Yeah, I know
Haborik.
Fellison Younger was going to go, but I think the first time it's brought up is from Fellison Younger.
Yes, she
Yeah.
suggested the plan.
Uh-huh. And by that time, I think Karsa had already gone. I don't think she told Leoman about it.
Was that the journey that Fellison Elder was talking about, keeping Haborik from doing?
Yes,
Uh,
because she's like, hey, just stick around and then I'll teleport you to the island.
But I think, I mean, I don't necessarily want Bidethal to die per se.
Yeah.
Maybe like be tortured 1,000 times or whatever, very slowly. But I think that the main thing was separating the prey from the predator. That's
Yeah.
what needed to happen, right?
I think they could have done that at the very least. Because that's
Yeah.
like totally within their power. They just kind of let him do his thing entirely without any interference.
I just think it's despicable that they only care about Fellison.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other thing is like what there's probably how do I say this? So one of the things that does happen when you put this kind of thing on the page is that now there's something to examine, right? If we didn't see Bidethal's perspective about the reasoning of why he did it, there would be like you wouldn't be able to examine his reasoning for it. And one of the things that I think Erickson could be trying to do is bringing the ugliness of what people do to each other into the light so that people can see it and acknowledge it and not like it's harder to just ignore it, you know.
Yeah. I mean, Bidethal is certainly not like cartoonishly evil. He's evil in a very, very real way.
Yes. Right. A very realistic way that does exist in our world. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh,
Move on.
I'm still angry.
Yeah.
You should be. I think that's a good way. For this chapter in the notes, I think we should put a link to charities fighting this kind of thing
Sure.
and encourage people to give to those.
The World Health Organization has a really good webpage that talks about this issue. And so if people are interested to learn more, I really recommend that resource.
Oh, yeah, Lorik is trying to do some damage control, which I think is funny with the Queen of Dreams.
I felt bad for Lorik.
I don't.
So previously I had said, I thought, hey, maybe Lorik is Osric. No, it's his son.
Mm-hmm.
I said he was a Leosian, and he was.
Mm-hmm.
Good job.
Nice.
Why don't you feel bad for Lorik? The dude lost his best friend.
Yeah, he lost his familiar, yeah. He's keeping company with some very bad people.
That's right.
And also, have you seen the Leosin? They're awful. Like he's the one primarily responsible for freezing their culture and where it is. I think if they weren't so isolated, I think if they didn't have the fallback of a fake god to worship, then maybe they would have been exposed to the outside world and realized that we're actually not all that. Like what happened to Karsa.
I think Lorik's quite different from the other Leosin.
I think he is too. I think he's like a decent guy, but I don't agree with the things he does at all. Also, the Queen of Dreams is mysterious, right?
That scene was so cool. And when she pulled her hand out of the well and it's just like covered in blood.
Yeah.
And she said she was going to help Lorik.
Mm-hmm.
She was going to find someone, set someone up for it. And I was just like, Icarium? Escarpus? Bowden? Rake?
But
Any
not
of those?
someone that Lorik would approve of.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Queen of Dreams, man.
Triss.
Yeah.
We did. So I know that Rake is at least 1,200 years old because that's when the chaining of the crippled god was.
One of them, at least.
Yeah. He's much older than that.
Yes, he is much older. He's at least 1,200.
At least, yeah. We found a lower bound.
There was something that the Queen of Dreams said that Lorik was like, "Oh, that's a strange statement," but I'm not really sure why it's a strange statement. She said, "Talon and Thyre were ever close, and now more than ever."
Mm-hmm.
Significance of that, I'm like, is Talon the bridge between Emmeline and Thyre?
And not Emerlon, it would be Leosin.
Okay, Leosin.
Because Emerlon is the one of shadows.
It just became closer in the ritual with Troll and then the Yamas entering, I believe.
So is it going to be like they're just going to become one, Warren? Like Talon? But never mind. You know what?
Fusion.
My brain hurts.
I think we also get confirmation that Talon existed before the Yamas did their ritual here, which is
okay.
A nice thing to sort out.
Wait, didn't we already
originally
know that?
part of the Beast Fold, right?
Talon? Well, it's descended from Leosin.
Descended from Leosin.
Well, Leosin is the parent Warren, I think.
Ah, that makes more sense. Yeah,
because from light came fire. Is the idea, and also Leosin is also sand aspected, as we see, and Talon is dust aspected, which is pretty cool. We also got Pearl reading a big monolith of everyone who was present at the chaining, I think.
Chaining.
A lot of help that was.
I mean, he got some information.
The end of the chapter was set up for something that we could all anticipate.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Ellison making a pact with Barrock.
We shall ensure that Bidethal's death is in a manner to match his crimes, and it shall be timely.
Yeah. Remember, Jasnah, you had said Shaik may be the queen of House of Chains?
Yes, I do remember that.
Do you still think so?
I don't know. She doesn't seem like she's interested in the Cripple Gods bullshit.
I think maybe Fellison could be that. Fellison younger, maybe a
Maybe.
candidate.
Interesting.
Just
Interesting.
with this interaction, I don't know. I mean, she would definitely have the reasoning to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, back to Haboric getting Treach becoming the Destrian for Treach. So, and I'm getting into quotes here. Haboric says, "No gifts were truly clean in the giving," and that reminded me of something. That reminded me of there is this Marcel Mauss, who was basically an anthropologist before anthropology became a thing. He studied gift exchange practices in different societies, such as like the potlatch of indigenous peoples in the Pacific Northwest. And Mauss argued that gifts are never truly free. Like there's an innate obligation to reciprocate the giver. And he shows that in human history, it's full of examples of gifts bringing about reciprocal exchange.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a nerd for this kind of stuff. So I had studied Mouse and the Gift in college, and I got a kick out of this line. No gifts were truly clean in the giving. And if you are also a nerd in this kind of philosophy, check out The Gift, Forms and Functions of Exchange in Archaic Societies by Marcel Mauss.
I think if you give a gift with strings, it automatically doesn't become a gift.
Well, you should go read Mauss's essay.
No, I'm familiar with the concept. It comes up a lot in the Book of the Fallen. I have a problem with that line of thinking.
Steve is definitely someone who understands the concept.
Yeah.
Well, it's
absolutely.
not it's not like you, even if you say there are no strings attached to a gift, there's an innate like feeling from the person receiving the gift to want to reciprocate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because the giver is saying you have to reciprocate. And he goes into about how like the giver's identity gets basically, it becomes part of the gift. And so the giver is like giving a part of themselves to the recipient, and then it goes from there. Anyway, it's fascinating.
Got to be careful about who you accept gifts from.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Can we move on?
I'm done. Yeah. Okay. Chapter 14. Karsa confronts Ikariam inconclusively. He then frees a Jagat and comes across Inimos' armory, freeing the Unbound as well. Another Karsa solo chapter.
I am stealing Mappo's explanation of convergence for my Pathfinder game.
Convenient, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I already gave them
Power
one.
draws power.
That's the one I gave them, basically. It's what you just said, Ash. But Mappo has a very different explanation.
It's very much a truism, though. Like it's not just a Malazan thing. Like convergence happens out here as well.
It's not always inevitable.
It's not inevitable, but it's pretty hard to avoid.
If we have given it enough time, sure. I mean, there are empires that lasted forever without much outside influence.
Karsa sucker punches Ikariam. What a dirty fighter, right?
Okay. So first of all,
Blue balls.
Rilandaris, whatever. Rilandaris, he warns Karsa, don't fight the travelers you're going to come across, like the trail that you're on. Don't fight them, because the world will come to regret it. Like, hello, it's very clear, don't do this. But Karsa is one of those people who's like, if you tell me to not do something, I'm going to go do it.
Challenge accepted.
Oh! But that's the thing, is like, where was the challenge? Was it just because Ikariam was like staring at him for a little too long, or like because Mappo was like exposing all this information that they know about Karsa just by like looking at him? Like, why did Karsa have to feel like he needed to fight Ikariam?
Ikariam felt it too.
Said no.
Ikariam was like, I feel pathos like I don't normally feel it. Better, might as well get this over with.
So it's like two magnets being like pulled.
Yeah.
together towards each other.
You can't tell me you've
Fine.
never seen another woman and be like, "Oh man, I gotta fight her."
No. What do I gotta fight anyone? Unless they're gonna be a threat to me. And like, Akarian was just like doing his thing.
I think Incarium is kind of implicitly a threat to everyone, though.
I guess.
I don't fight people anymore, but when I did, they gave me really good reasons to. A lot better than like, you look similarly tough to me. Let's fight.
So here, you want to hear the really bad joke?
Sure.
So the joke is, and you have to pretend to laugh.
Yeah.
A Trell, a Jag, and a Thelamin Toblikai walked into a bar. Before the Jag and the Toblikai could react, the Trell knocked both of them out. And I want to thank Lee Sweeten for the inspiration. Shut up. Okay, you're done. Thanks.
Tor is gonna appreciate it at least, I think.
I mean, Erickson literally wrote the line, a Trell, a Jag, and a Thelamin Toblikai, and you cannot
Oh, it was
just
intentional.
leave that hanging.
He can. He does it all the
No.
time.
Well, I just think that entire scene is setting up this joke that I just told, because that's exactly what happened. Well, except
do you think Ikariam and Karsa will meet again and have their confrontation?
yes.
Who do you think will win?
Karsa.
Karsa.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Alright.
So something that's what confused me, right, is why does Rolandris know this, and why is he telling anybody?
Wait, what?
I think Rolandris knows this just because he's like a powerful dude who's seen it all, essentially. And, knows that Karsa is a Bamf and knows that Ikariam's a Bamf, so they shouldn't meet.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, full satisfactory.
How many wolves is he up to now?
I think
12 in
12.
this location, I think.
Yeah, because a score is 12.
Score is 20.
A score's 20.
Oh, a score is
Okay,
20.
so it must be 20 then.
That is 20.
And how many was it in Deadhouse Gates?
7?
Something like that.
So, like, when
Dang.
he gets more divers forms, does his soul taken form get, like, huger?
Future.
More forms indicates more power.
Right. But I'm saying, is he also more powerful in his soul taken form?
I'm not going to answer that. What kind of a question is that?
Because we know he's a soul taken from the stuff about the First Empire.
Yeah.
So he's a soul taken and a divers.
Maybe they're just like smaller wolves. They're like knee high or
Uh,
ankle high.
They are not.
I doubt it. I'm just picturing like a 2-story jackal for his soul taken form. Instead of like more wolves, he just gets bigger and bigger.
Speaking of the First Empire, Karsa stumbled upon a 7-headed hound statue.
That
Hmm.
Ikariam was uncovering.
Yeah. Yeah, what was up with that?
Why?
There's so many hounds.
Weird.
Why are there so many hounds?
Because Erickson is a dog person. He's a dog person and a horse person.
Half dog, half horse.
That's why he has dogs the size of ponies. So he can have his cake and eat it too.
Mhm.
Yes.
So, like, were the Hounds of Darkness and the Hounds of Shadow originally one 7-headed beast? Or is it like a metaphor?
Ooh.
Well, Troll has some speculation, or is it Onrak?
I think Onrak.
Yeah. That the Hounds of Shadow are literally the shadows of the Hounds of Darkness.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying we got a 7-headed figure of a hound. So is there like,
Maybe they split into 7 individuals. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, like they used to be one and they fragmented?
Possibly. Yeah.
But or maybe it's just a metaphor, and the one dog figure represents the like. Are there 7 Hounds of Shadow? I don't actually know.
I thought there was 5.
That's because 2 were thrown into the Gate of Darkness and kind of
Ah.
became separated.
So there were 7, presumably when the statue was made, unless it's like 2 years old.
Yeah, 7.
Mm. Is Karsa the Knight of Chains or not? Because like, he was basically given this position, and it seemed like he's like, nah, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, I feel like basically the crippled god was like, we're gonna make this guy the Knight of High House Chains, and Karsa was like, or I'll cut one of my gods in half and take her head with me in my backpack. And so he's not taking it. but maybe he also doesn't have a choice the way that none of the other mortal swords get a choice.
Maybe.
Can you decline this job application? I don't know.
Job offer.
Yeah, right.
The cutting the Emos in half doesn't happen until chapter 17.
Yeah, it's later.
That's
but-
true, but she asked a question that had bearing
Yeah.
on that moment.
Yeah,
So
I know. I should have waited. Sorry. Okay.
I was waiting for that, but
Yeah, at the end of this chapter, it seemed like Karst was all into it. Like, hell yeah, I'll become the house,
Yeah.
Mortal Sword.
Knight of Chains.
Yeah, Knight. Yeah, not Mortal Sword.
You bet.
read
Yeah,
that differently.
everyone will witness what I'm gonna become.
I read it as him being like, I've figured out that that's what you want. And that it was like a cliffhanger of like,
Yeah,
we don't
but like I
know.
think Erickson was leading the reader into the direction like, oh, Karst is gonna do this.
Yeah, and then later on it's like, nah.
Nope.
He also frees a Jagat, no doubt making Hurin very happy.
I love the Jagat. They're the best.
They're not my favorite.
They're so
I
good.
love
They're so
them.
funny.
I like how in these chapters we see an example both of them destroying the environment and keeping an environment preserved.
That is true, yes.
Yeah.
What's the
And-
destroying one?
When the 4 Jagat tyrants banded together, they vowed to destroy the land. And also, I believe the Jagat were just responsible for a lot of... Well, like, a Jagat had taken up residence in the spot, and then subsequently the environment changed, and a bunch of the animals either migrated or starved to death because everything froze.
So I really liked Karst's critique of political economy, and I thought it was pretty poignant for a dude that's never studied it, because like I didn't come to any of these conclusions without reading books, and I doubt that Karsa has read many books. He says in his internal, or like the narrator says from his viewpoint, the notion of a life spent tilling fields was repellent to the tableau warrior. The reward seemed to be exclusive to the highborn landowners, whilst the laborers themselves had only a minimal existence, prematurely aged and worn down by ceaseless toil. And the distinction between high and low status was born from farming itself, or so it appeared to Karsa. Wealth was measured in control over people, and the grip of that control could never be permitted to loosen. Odd, then, that this rebellion had had nothing to do with such inequities, that in truth it had been little more than a struggle between those who would be in charge. That's a pretty poignant response to the apocalypse as well. And he goes on to even say more about the apocalypse, but it's stuff we've said on the podcast before. So,
Yep.
He's got the apocalypse pegged. It's just people fighting over a little power they have and not caring anything about the little guy.
but then he's still working for them.
Wow.
He left.
Sort of
For
working
now.
for them.
Yeah, but he plans to meet back up with, or as far as we know, he plans to meet back up with Lehman.
Mm-hmm.
When you get close to people, I mean, presumably he's friends with Lehman, right? You want to fight for people beside you.
I think it was John Locke that was big on hunter-gathering society. Karsa is definitely a fan of him, or would be. Karsa is very smart. I think everyone has to acknowledge this, right?
He's very smart.
Yeah.
He's very smart, but he does dumb things a lot.
I think his ghosts are helpful too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Oh yeah, they're so cool. I didn't make any notes about them, but I loved the ghost thing and how he put them in the sword so they didn't have to meet Hood.
Mhm.
Ugh, so cool.
Chapter 15. Devor's legion joins with the Kundral burned in tears. Strings has a song stuck in his head. A river is crossed.
I love the Kundral.
their
Kundral are cool.
guilt. Their guilt, man. That's
Survivor's guilt.
heavy.
Yeah.
Oof.
But it's a little more than just survivor's guilt. They're
Yeah.
like, we didn't go with. We didn't help out.
We didn't die with them specifically.
We didn't
Oh,
help out
that's true.
enough. Like he specifically said like, oh, we went back to like lick our wounds while the chain of dogs went battle after battle to the final battle.
Things
Yeah.
could have been different at this stage. But I love them because they came back. They took that guilt
Did.
and they made an action. And they fed everybody and they're just fun.
And they got everyone drunk.
Yeah.
And they
That.
fixed the power balance within the Wiccan camp by
Yes.
becoming
Yeah, that was
Wiccans.
so good.
Yes. Fiddler helped.
They got everyone drunk except for Stormy, Gessler, and Truth.
Oh,
'Cause they
poor
can't
Stormy
get drunk.
Gessler.
Can't get drunk.
Well, and people like Gamut and
Who have,
Kenneth,
who've had it
who
before.
decided not to.
Yeah, fermented milk doesn't sound great.
Dude, it sounds like the worst combination of things that make you sick.
Yeah, I believe it was only invented by steppe tribes because they had literally nothing else to ferment.
I mean,
Like-
fermented milk becomes cheese, I guess. But drinking cheese
Yeah.
just doesn't sound good.
I don't think it's quite analogous. I don't know if cheese has any alcoholic content though.
It
Maybe it does
doesn't.
and it's sluiced off.
It doesn't. But Fiddler helping Temel, that was really nice. Just the interaction there.
Don't get off your horse. Don't do it.
We are not Wiccans, but this I swear we shall strive to be.
And now they are Wiccans.
And now they are Wiccans. But it was a sad and beautiful line.
I have a quote about this scene, so I'm just gonna plug it here. With the sound of a wave rolling up a league-long strand of beach, weapons were unsheathed along the ridge, a salute voiced by iron alone. A shiver rippled through strings. It's so poetic, and I just love that imagery. And when I read it, I was like, oh, I got
Yes.
shivers too.
Yeah.
I really sympathize with the Burns tears because I don't know if this is a common feeling, but because of various events that have happened in my life, various things that I've been through, I do and have had a lot of things like survivor's guilt, and also somewhat separately, just the feeling that I don't belong anymore. So it's really nice to see that represented in Malazan because it's not something you see very often, I think. Obviously everyone has an issue with belonging, but belonging even just to the world of the living is it's not a great feeling to have when you're surrounded by it's not a great feeling to have. Let me just say that. I imagine people with depression can very much sympathize because that's the stem of my thing, and it's a hard thing to get over. I will just say.
I guess, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to. How did you get over, or are you over it?
I wouldn't say I'm completely over it, but a lot of hard work, a lot of help from people, a lot of determination. Therapy and medication, and the problem still isn't solved, but it's alleviated somewhat. So there's always hope, right?
Well, I'm glad you're here on the podcast with us.
Thank you. I quite enjoy my time here as well.
It does sometimes feel like a little therapy session.
In a lot of ways, right? Malazan really captures the breadth of human experience, though, I think in a way that almost nothing else does.
I haven't spoken to anybody at this kind of length about a book. I've been in book clubs and you talk about what you read, what you think, but not anything as extensive as this. And it's definitely a very interesting experience and rewarding experience.
Yeah, 100%.
Is anyone else excited to meet Sormo?
Sormo, yes.
Yeah, that was cool.
He got eaten by the butterflies, but hasn't gone away.
And
Kinda.
there may be more than just Sormo because he says reawaken or something. And Fiddler. Oh, poor Nil and Nether. They were waiting for Sormo to come and speak to them, and he didn't. He went to Fiddler instead.
Yeah, he's not Wiccan anymore, right?
And Fiddler came over there because he thought they were singing. And then he was like, "Will you stop that singing?" And they were like, "What singing?"
Oh, yes. And he's like, oh, wait, the song's in my head.
I get the feeling that the song of Kimlock is quite the banger. I would like to hear it.
Fiddler's like, they need practice or something. It's off key.
Have you listened to the instrumental Bridge Burners theme?
I have not.
It's pretty good.
Ooh, okay, I'll have to look that up.
So is Song for Coltane.
By who?
I don't remember, but you will just type in Malazan into YouTube Music, you'll find this stuff.
Maybe Caladan Brood.
Like somebody called Caladan Brood?
Oh, there's a metal group called Calidenberg.
Oh,
No, it's
got
not
it.
metal. It's like really pretty, like instrumental music.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Not that metal can't be pretty, but you know what I'm saying. It's not amplified. It's
Is this the
acoustic.
chapter where they cross the River of Blood?
Yep.
Yeah, but
Yes.
not a bridge that is held there by blood.
Mm-hmm.
The Devor's army is literally following the same path as
I know.
Tolkien.
This is like I can't imagine walking this path that the Chain of Dogs took. Like it's and for the people who have gone through it before already, it's psychologically that's
Mm-hmm.
But of course, it's a completely different experience. Like, instead of like, oh, if we get to Arin at the end, we might be safe, which of course doesn't
Right.
turn out to be true, right? It's,
We're going
we're more or
to
less
fight.
safe. And then at the end, we get to die,
Mm.
so that's a very different
Yeah.
experience.
I think this book has maybe the strongest theming we've seen so far, because it's very much about being lost and trying to find your way. And it's like echoed across all the storylines, and I think it's done very well. And yeah, even if you just look at Nil and Nether, they are in many ways children that are lost and trying to find themselves again.
Yeah. Well, same thing for like the Crow clan, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've lost their leader and
Tavor is trying to find out what kind of leader she is, as are the people following her. She's called the Plain Woman by the Burned Tears, and she doesn't seem like a person overly concerned about her appearance, but still, that's got a sting, right?
I have a feeling that she's actually quite ugly, because most people don't say she's plain to somebody who's actually plain.
I think she's plain. She's like Strings thinks of her as plain, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's just how I think of her. Plain and with big boobs.
Yeah.
okay.
I really liked their religious explanation for why people get hangovers.
I missed that. What was it?
Gamut says, he doesn't say, it's the narrator, but drunken oblivion was each time a small temporary death. Hood walked where the self once stood, and the wake of the god's passage sickened mortal flesh afterwards.
Nice.
I missed that.
I do think that we're gonna see more of Cotain. We haven't really seen him yet, but I think we will. Just the big dog. What was the big dog's name?
Bent.
Bent.
Right.
Bent
Bent's
and
like
Roach.
looking around for him.
Mm-hmm. Trying to find Coltane.
And like, who was it? Was it Keneb? Keneb was just like, he's here. Like, it's hard to miss him.
Yeah, Coltane's legacy is all around.
Yeah.
Actually, Coltane, no, because he's a kid somewhere.
Yeah, he's a
On
kid
another
somewhere in
continent.
that clan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's another really strong theme in this book, is like seeing the aftermath of
Mm-hmm.
the Chain of Dogs and how it, like, the ripple effect it has on everyone on the continent.
In some ways, the shadow.
Right.
Yeah.
But on a less somber note, I thought Fiddler talking about things slipping his mind was pretty funny.
Yes, I had that too.
They're like, oh, did it slip your mind that we didn't see them either? He's like, yep, and there it goes again. Slipped my mind.
Yeah, giving his squad crap for not having spotted the Kundro scouts. Yeah, that was funny.
And we got a discussion between Gessler and Gessler and Fiddler, which is pretty heavy. It's like, what else would you do? This is all you're good for. If you want an out, just throw yourself on someone's sword.
Yeah, I have that as one of my quotes. Gessler says, "It's bad when you lose them. Friends, I mean. Makes you wonder why you're still here. Why the damn sack of blood and muscles and bones keeps on going. So you run. Then what? Nothing. You're not here, but wherever you are, you're still there." And I think that's really true of anything, like almost anything you run away from. Like you may have physical distance, but there's still emotional and psychological healing that needs to occur as well. And then Gessler continues to say, You want it to end? Well, there's a battle coming. Should give you plenty of opportunity. Throw yourself on a sword and you're done. Gessler paused and jabbed a finger at strings. But that's not the problem, is it? It's because now you've got a squad and you're responsible for them. That's what you don't like, and that's what got you thinking of running. And boy, do I relate. I would like to run away from my responsibilities and hardship.
Yeah. We also get Tavor's commanders undermining her unintentionally again.
Yeah.
Poor Tavor, man. Like, they mean well, but...
What happened?
When Tena Baralta is like, maybe we should let the residents of the forest know that we're not disrespecting them. And then...
They're not crossing
damn,
the
it's
brink.
like, maybe we should run this by the adjunct. And then the adjunct has the same idea. It shows that she's very competent, right? She knows what's going on.
Right.
People just need to, listen to her, get used to the command structure.
But I mean, how does it undermine her that her troops had that idea 45 seconds before she did?
They were going to do it without her.
Yeah.
Doing things behind a commander's back like that isn't great.
Yep.
Chapter 16. Kalam penetrates the whirlwind with the help of Iskar Alpust. Cotillion gives Cutter his next assignment. Pearl and Lestara come across some burned rats. Onrak remembers a cool painting he did one time. The Leosin resolve to find an old friend.
So, it seems that Pearl and Lestara's path is obviously them towards Phyllis, and do you think they'll meet up?
I think so. I mean, that's the whole point, right? Because Shaik gave them this task.
Tavor
To
gave
do.
him the task.
Tavor.
Or sorry, Tavor. Wait, yeah, Tavor. Wow. And they've been doing a pretty good job so far.
Yeah,
Very competent.
they are very close.
Onrak thinks his painting led to Kalava sleeping with him and then going and killing all those people.
And also being immortal. That's a really cool concept.
Onrek's backstory is interesting. Like, he has this obsession with Kalava, and because he painted Kalava in this sacred cave thing or whatever, that's how she's been, like, quote unquote immortal and lived so long. That's just wow.
He was also a bonecaster for a bit, so.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, I think he unintentionally did some stuff there as well.
Oh.
And he blames himself for her killing her entire clan, too.
He does, because him painting her was a crime. So he was gonna be exiled.
He was married, too.
He was. Poor wife.
So bad for her.
I'll hesitate to condemn Onrak here. I mean, it's just a painting, right? And also, I don't know their marriage. Maybe it was very toxic.
Maybe.
Well, he was a...
Yeah, because it's okay to cheat on people when it's toxic.
Well, I'm just gonna say that relationships are complicated, and it's hard to have a good guy and bad guy sometimes.
What were you gonna say, Yesna?
I was gonna say that he was an individualist before the ritual. So it's not just that he got, like, separated from them in the nascent. He's kind of been waiting hundreds of thousands of years to be able to be an individualist again.
He likes that freedom.
And the very next day, they decide to do the ritual, or the ritual was called.
He's like the inverse of the Jaghut tyrants.
I believe he said that after he'd painted her, he'd come upon by a woman, and he doesn't know if it was Kalava or not. And she slept with him and went away.
Yeah, it was Kalava that he slept with, right? And if you'll recall, at the start of Memories of Ice, Kalava had just given birth.
Oh.
And what happened to her kid again? She lost it somehow.
What indeed?
What were we told in the Memories of Ice prologue about her kid?
She doesn't have it anymore, basically.
I thought the kid died or something.
We're not told anything, just that she had a kid.
So the kid dying may have had something to do as well with why she...
It didn't say the kid died.
She just does not have the kid.
Or them taking her kid. Whatever it is.
She could have the kid.
Okay. Who is the master of the Talon?
What is the Talon trying to accomplish?
I know, Cotillion knows.
Yeah, Shadowthrone thinks he guessed it like immediately.
Well, all they're saying is, well, the Talon need to fail. I'm like, but why? I mean, they're
Those
trying to
were your
take down.
homies.
Yeah. They're trying to take down the scene. So Shadow Throne and Cotillion were, well, at least Shadow Throne was trying to get revenge on the scene, but now they're not.
Yeah.
So
They've basically given that up.
so now they want to prevent the Talon from taking down Lysine? Question
So
mark?
wait, Amonis has given up on revenge against Lysine too?
Well, he's
I
still
think
salty
so.
about it, but he's
Mm.
right now they're working to preserve the Empire.
He's got bigger problems, I think.
Yeah.
I kind of thought that Cotillion was like, he's too blindsided by revenge. I'm doing my own thing for a little while. Wasn't that at the beginning of this book?
Cotillion
kind
did
of-
say that, but I think I can't remember what exactly it was, but Amonis was basically, oh, maybe that was Cotillion talking to Cutter, saying that Lysine also had a role to play in all of this. Okay, never mind. As Shadowthrone and Cotillion were talking, I think somebody may have overheard them. I'm not sure because the reason why I think that is because there was a line that says after Shadowthrone and Cotillion finished their conversation and they went off somewhere. It says, a moment later, the glade was empty, barring a few sourceless shadows that swiftly dwindled into nothing. I'm like, whoa, was there somebody else there? Who could it be?
We definitely know that they're not uncontested Masters of Shadow.
Yes, Corporal or Bidithal
Yes,
wants
Bidithal
to.
is very salty. The Ticed Eater are unhappy.
The Whirlwind as well, right?
Goddess.
Maybe, but we don't know anything about the Whirlwind Goddess, essentially, or plans regarding Shadow.
I think she's using a fragment of Corellian Milan, right?
We know that
Yes.
she's using a fragment, yeah. But it's Bidithal who's like, let's use that fragment to take over all of Shadow, essentially. And then he
Yeah.
wants to be the High Priest of that.
Yep. Yeah, this whole goddess thing, I'm just like, I really don't find it that interesting.
Goddess thing?
The whirlwind goddess.
Oh.
Yeah. I just kind of want the whirlwind over with.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. I thought that Troll and Onrak's moments in this chapter were really touching, and there was a lot of sort of like solidarity and brotherhood shown, but also like a lot of like pathos to it.
Mhm.
So like Troll noticed Onrak's grief where like most mortals would not, for example. And
Yeah.
like Onrak like thought about that and how like if he was immortal anybody would see it and say what Troll said, but Troll said the thing that he would like that you would say to a human when you saw the expressions on their face and heard their tone and so on, to know that they are experiencing grief. And then at the end of their section, Troll's like, they suspect you will join the renegades, don't they? And Onrak says, broken kin. Aye, they do. And he says, and will you? And Onrak studies Troll for a moment and says, only if you do, Troll Sangar. And I was just like...
Well, someone wears the pants in the relationship now.
Yeah. I mean,
It seems
having a bottom and a top or a dom and a sub is a normal part of any relationship. Or of some relationships, I should say. Some relationship.
Troll is one of my very favorite characters in the series. He is so cool.
I think Troll and Onrak are bargain bin talking tool.
that's what I was gonna say. I would rather have Talking Tool over Troll and Onrak.
I like Tool more than Honorak, but I like Troll a lot more than Talk.
Okay, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Getting this much time with Troll and learning about the Eater through his perspective makes me like kind of visualize the Eater like the Dark Elves in Morrowind, because they're not like black skin like the Eater are. They're like kind of ashy and gray, and they have like, you know, a pretty similar like tribal society to what we've glimpsed of the Eater so far, at least in some ways.
All right.
Yeah, I definitely get very Native American vibes from the Eater. Except for, obviously, the Eater are quite a bit more malicious at this point.
I'm all done.
Got a quote. So this is Onrak, and he says, when memories have returned, Troll Senkar, solitude is an illusion, for every silence is filled with a clamorous search for meaning. I think most people could relate to that.
Oh yeah. This is why I listen to like music or like I need something in the background because otherwise I
You don't get too
just,
existential.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's in this or in a chapter before, but I think Onrak specifically calls it out as like the fundamental struggles of all our lives is basically a search for meaning, whether it's light versus dark, life versus death, stuff like that. And it was just nice for him to make it explicit. Order versus chaos. I think that was the prime thing, order versus chaos.
That quote reminds me of Hamlet when he says that he could live his life bound in a nutshell and be content if only he didn't have bad dreams.
For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come. Hamlet's very scared of dreams. Spoilers, I guess, for 500 years. Yeah.
It's okay. They don't. Anyway, never mind. Whatever.
Oh, something I forgot to mention. Is there anywhere Ikariam hasn't been? Even the Leosin think he's a friend.
The dude's been around.
Mm-hmm.
And he seems to like when he's not like entering a barbarian rage and potentially destroying all of existence, he seemes like he's helping people out all the time. He's just like making friends with everybody and trying to help them solve their problems.
And making timepieces and asking a tree if he can have the heartwood, even though it would kill the tree.
It would kill the tree.
Yeah, but does he know it would kill the tree?
I think the tree probably explains it to him or something. I don't know. Although he forgets every time.
He probably forgets every time. Let's be honest.
No, he does. She says it's like every time he comes over, he tries to get my heartwood.
Bargain again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Come on, Ikariam. No means no.
Yeah, I saw a picture of her today, and it's really, really beautiful. For listeners who want to see the picture of the jackfruit tree, it's in the House of Chains guide on Reddit.
Oh, also, wait, one last thing. I think Pearl and Lestara note that the explosion that killed most of the rats was Leosin energy, I believe.
Oh.
Bowden. He got taken by Hood.
He did, yes.
Mm-hmm. The body, too.
Yes, because it was just a shell and...
He was bathed in Leosin.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, and now we know that, or at least I hope we know, that Gessler, Stormy, and Truth have the power of Leosin in them.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong. It wasn't Talon.
It was not Talon.
But there was a link. Because
Yeah.
they're getting closer and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, Olar Ethel took them through curled Leosin.
Oh, yeah. That reminds me of the image that I shared in our DMs of a very bronzed bodybuilder. That's what I think of Gessler and Stormy looking like. Probably more Stormy.
Stormy's a bit too hairy, I think.
Jasnah, I completely forgot that it was Leosin, actually. And in our spoilers episode of Deadhouse Gates, I was like, oh yeah, they went through Leosin. Or they went through Talon.
Yeah, you did your best to confuse me.
I sound so confident, right?
I was pretty certain that it was Leosin still, but,
Oh, okay. Sorry. I just put the pieces together. So I was correct that they were the trespassers of the
that's a very safe assumption at this point.
Okay. Got it.
And Leosin has been breached.
Yeah.
By Olar Ethel, among others.
Yep.
This time, I mean, the Leosin kind of let him in, right?
Not
on
Olar
purpose.
Ethel. Oh, like this time, yes.
Okay, next chapter, last chapter?
Chapter 17.
Chapter 17. Karsa makes the Buster Sword, then rearranges a skeleton with it. Onrak puts himself back together. Karsa talks to a tree and is a surprisingly good pickup artist, at least where horses are concerned.
This chapter has Synagig, and that's why it's my favorite chapter. Synagig,
Synagig. Yeah.
and hilarious.
What a name.
He's got a good relationship with his sister, right?
Is that his sister?
Yeah,
I think they're related.
okay.
And he was
he
created
refers
from.
to her as his sister in the chapter. It could just be like, the way people sometimes say like brother or sister to people that aren't their brother or sister, but
I think when it's where the Jaghead are concerned, it's pretty much only family because they don't really have ties to anybody other than family.
Mm.
Even then, if he.
Even then, it's like we write each other holiday cards every 1,000 years or so.
I just think it's really cool world building too. That
Mhm.
she turned into the tree because she got speared through the top of an Azath house.
Yeah.
A dead Azathos or
A dead
dying
Azathos.
Azathos. Yeah, the one that Akarium wounded. Yeah,
Because it held Ikarium's father.
who didn't want to leave.
There's
Oh,
so many
Ikarium.
layers.
Yeah. Karsa's sword is so cool. Like,
The way he made it is cool too. Because they're like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah, I
can't
was
do a
gonna
piece
say.
that big. Watch me. Oh, you did it.
well
Yeah.
done. And he seals it with blood.
Well, that was
That was Byroth and Delum, but it is sealed with blood. And then augmented with the powers of Talon.
yeah. These 7 Talon Imas god thingies. So
6 now.
6 now. Yes.
Mhm.
I mean, technically, Sybil is still like alive. Like,
Undead.
But-
She is just
oh,
too
yeah,
broken for the
okay.
crippled god now.
right. Okay. I want to talk about this. So, and we're gonna go into quotes. Like, Sybil says a bunch of stuff, and what do gods themselves worship but perfection, the unattainable victory over nature's uncertainty. There are many words for this struggle: order against chaos, structure against dissolution, da 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 da. But they all mean the same thing. And we haven't talked about the theme of chaos as much, but I really don't quite know what to make of it right now, to be honest. And then Sybil goes on to say, perfection is an illusion. Thus, mortal and immortal alike are striving for what cannot be achieved. Our new master seeks to alter the paradigm, Karsa Orlong, a third force to change forever the eternal war between order and disillusion. And this is something that I struggle with. Like, I'm a perfectionist, and I'm really hard on myself when I don't achieve what I think I should be able to achieve. And that creates a lot of stress and pressure on myself. And I recognize this. Like, I need to be better about prioritizing how much quote unquote perfection to deliver for things. And sometimes it's just better to do something than nothing, because there can be this like paralysis of, I can't do it good enough. Like, I can't make it perfect. So then you end up doing nothing, And I know it depends on the situation, but it's like, it's better to clean up 15 pieces of clutter than no clutter at all. And yes, you may have like more clutter left, but you're making progress little by little. Or like, write that terrible first draft. Just get it out, right? Because then you have something to actually work with. And there's that wise saying, do or do not, there is no try.
Oh, I hate that one.
Well, I take that to mean just do the thing. Like, it may be bad the first time, but you have to take that first few steps to do it. And if you have like hesitancy, right? Like, you may just end up not doing it. So it's better
there's
to
a
have
way better phrase for that than the do or do not. There is no try.
What is that?
perfect.
It's Logan Nine Fingers says it all the time, and it's one of my life mottos. Even though he's a total hypocrite, but we're not here to talk about Logan Nine Fingers. He says, if you've got a task to do, it's better to do it than to live with the fear of it. And that
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't have the like idealism of the do or do not, as if like there's no chance you could fail.
Mm-hmm.
But it does have that, like, you just have to start doing it. You just have to take the first
Yeah.
step. You just have to get on with it.
Right. It's better to have done it and failed and learned something rather than not do it at all. I mean, obviously within reason.
That's how I always interpreted that quote anyway. Or those words
Yeah.
of wisdom.
And but the thing is, and it goes on because Karsa is like, you guys aren't gods, you Telonomos, and then they're like, no, we are because to be a god is to possess worshippers to guide them, and Karsa is like, no, gods are there to like alleviate the burden of their followers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Karsa, you're right. You're so much more insightful than these stupid undead.
One of my favorite parts of this book is him just telling off the Templar gods.
Yeah, Karsa's viewpoint there is actually kind of a pretty Christian one.
Yeah.
In a way, like some aspects of Christianity, at least, you confess and you go through certain rituals in the Catholic Church that help alleviate your suffering and pass it
Right.
on to God, essentially. There are other aspects too.
I think it's just like a fundamental nature of religion generally. I think pretty much all religions have that element of give and take, right? Like even the Greek gods, we go back to them. If you make a sacrifice to them, they'll help you out, right? Or they'll at least not screw you over.
Yeah.
Buddhism, if you follow the teachings of the Buddha, you'll be rewarded with it's not Dharma, it's
Is it enlightenment?
it's enlightenment, but I forget the original word.
There's so many sects of Buddhism. There are so many different ones.
Yes.
I won't get into it.
With the Greek gods, that's kind of ish, though. Like, you could have like two opposing forces making sacrifices for opposite things to the same god, and the gods will just like ignore one sometimes. At
Yeah,
least
but you
in,
can say
like,
the same
Homer,
for the Christian
example.
God. People pray for victory over their enemies all the time. Usually it's both sides doing it.
That's true. Yes.
Convinced that they are on the right side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the part that Sybil goes on to say, because, to fail is to reveal a flaw. Face that revelation, do not turn back on it. Do not make empty vows to never repeat your mistakes. It is done. Celebrate it. When I was reading that, I was like, okay, cool. That kind of sounds good. Celebrate your mistakes, like don't strive to be perfect. But I think there's a part that's missing from what she was saying is the learning part. It's not like just do the same mistake over and over and celebrate that. Like that's not good. It's not growth. So I think what she said, her logic was a bit flawed. And then the clincher, why the crippled god is not good, because even though the crippled god like accepts all the broken, all the unwanted people.
Does he though?
Well, this is what I'm getting at. Karsa goes, "What of your new master, this crippled god?" Right? Because after he cut Sybil in half, Sybil says, "He has abandoned me." It would appear that there are acceptable levels of imperfection and unacceptable levels of imperfection. I have lost my usefulness. And Karsa goes, "Another god that understands nothing of what it is to be a god." And Karsa actually shows compassion to Sybil and like doesn't leave her in this cave to just rot. And the crippled god really is no better than everyone else. And in fact, he's probably worse because he gives hope to the broken and then abandons them when he can no longer get use and value out of them.
There's also another indication here that he might be a grifter. It may not be as strong as the one that you just said, but she says this thing about like not order or chaos, but a third thing that will change the paradigm. And it's like, okay, yeah, but Calor was using chaos via the crippled god, and I'm pretty sure so was Panion, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, really though? Are you sure about that?
It's just like chaos in sheepskin or something. It's like it might not look like chaos, but underneath it really is chaos. Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's got some kind of Hegelian thing going on where he's like, oh, well, order's more dominant right now, so we'll use chaos to get to the third thing. And there's like a synthesis, but I don't buy it. I think he's a grifter.
I think his power leans chaotic, but I don't think it like is chaos. But that's the discussion for probably later in the series.
Okay.
Well, they call it chaos in Memories of Ice.
Well, people are wrong.
They could be
all the
wrong.
time.
Yeah.
The crippled god absolutely has a point. We can't attain perfection. No one can, except like mathematicians, maybe some philosophers. But Yeah, that doesn't mean you shouldn't strive for it, right? The value is found in the pursuit. A lot of people would say. It's like absurdism. It's like you accept that life has suffering and it probably doesn't have any meaning, but you strive for it anyways. And also the order versus chaos thing. I think that also contributes a lot to our fear of the unknown. We don't like chaos. We don't like not having any control or sense of what things are going to be like, which led to order being imposed in the first place in this world, right? People fashioned themselves gods to control death, light, dark, all those things, right? As Onrak and Troll are theorizing, maybe they gave form to the power that was already there. So, Order versus Chaos, very big thing in this series, and it will be explored more later on. But I don't think this is something that Steve feels he has the answers on, as much as like compassion.
The way that he's set up Chaos so far has made it seem like it's the big bad in the series, and at this point, I'm not really sure what he's trying to say, if anything, about it. If he really is trying to say that Chaos is bad, I don't know. So, looking forward to learning more.
If Chaos wins, life dies, essentially. I don't know if that's something Steve would himself agree with, but it's just like a law of nature. Heat death is coming for us all. Give it about 300 trillion years.
Well, I won't be alive then, so...
Probably not. Onrak is now a more complete person.
Yeah, so I totally didn't get that in the text. I was like, he has hands. What is he, like, turning back into a mortal?
Pair of hands.
He took them from Sabel's body.
Mm-hmm.
I love that reveal. I guess you
Is that
it.
what it was? Oh my god! I was like,
We both missed
what the
it.
heck? What the heck is going on? I was like, is like the crippled god? Was he there and put his hands on Sengar? Like,
I just took Sabel's body and like scavenged it for pieces.
okay.
But I totally didn't get it at the time either.
Okay. Well, I mean, good for him.
Yeah, it says a moment before they emerged into the sunlight, sudden shock raced through Troll Sangar. A pair of hands.
Yeah, but I thought that was like
I
he
know.
felt
Yeah.
something.
I didn't catch it my
not-
first time either, because how am I supposed to know that he could take the bones from another Emos or Talon
I
Emos?
guess that
Right.
makes sense. I mean, like, yeah, bone transplant is a thing.
Hands are such a motif in this series. You got Hork's hands, you got
The jade
Onrak's new
finger.
hands, you got the jade finger, you have Karsa's hands. He can't work the stone while he's all cut up. A lot of hands everywhere. The more you look, the more you find.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hands are very useful.
Yeah, they're our primary way of interacting with the world.
And almost
Mhm.
everybody has them.
Mm-hmm. No,
With a
not
few exceptions.
everybody. A tiger doesn't.
Almost everybody.
Almost every. Okay.
Hebork does not.
He's got
He
ghost
sorta does.
hands.
He's got better hands than most people, I think. Yeah. No arthritis anymore. Karsa has a really cool new horse.
He does.
He names it Havoc.
Woohoo! He's gonna wreak havoc on the world.
That's also very Shakespearean, right? Cry havoc and let loose the dogs of war.
Quotes?
Is your mind? Okay. So this is Synagig. He says, is there some cosmic law that the Jaghut can only use Omtos Phalak? I've read 100,000 Yearite skies and have yet to see it written there.
Many other laws, though.
Oh, yeah.
I do like his method of avoiding the Emos by hiding inside a box that looks like a tree.
That looks like a rock.
No, like a rock.
right?
Rock, yes. Box that looks like a rock.
His explanation of the whole thing, I'm like, dude, you talk a lot. he talks a lot.
He doesn't get very many opportunities, I imagine, being a Jaghut.
He doesn't get out much.
Mm-hmm.
That's his sister to talk to. And the other one, I am Karsa Orlong of the Urid. Yes, I know from distant Genevak, as little different from my fallen kin, the Jag. Ignorant of your great noble history. Less ignorant than I once was. Good. I am named Synagig, and now you're even less ignorant. Jaghut are the best.
I mean, this one is entertaining to a degree.
I like the Jaghut. I don't think they're the best, and they're certainly very flawed. They do make for interesting books.
I didn't think I would say this when I first read Gardens. I kind of miss Raced.
Raced is actually kind of cool.
Like raised. He's
I
funny.
like Gothos too. He seems
Gothos,
This
cool.
is,
yeah.
like father, like
Gothos is
son.
funny too.
I want to know who the Jag could sleep with to get Jags, though. We've left us
I
hanging
mean,
there.
I took it that she and Karsa got it on. So
Oh,
that's what I took from that.
Oh,
Yeah, that would make
Yeah,
sense.
I didn't
I honestly
catch
did
that
not
at
catch
all.
that, but yeah, it's
but I'm glad I'm not the only one this time because I'm sick of missing all the sexual innuendos in this.
um,
I don't look for them, I promise. It's just to me it's just kind of there.
you got the kind of mind for it, clearly.
Apparently I have a dirty mind, everyone.
I think a Jag is just any half Jag hut.
Yeah, but she implied that the breeding compatibility was with certain things, certain species.
I think she might have been referring to specifically Ikaria, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I just took it as like, have you ever wondered? And she's like, oh, I have things to tell you.
Hmm.
And
And it seemed to be in this world that literally anybody could breed with anybody and have viable offspring.
Yeah,
Mm.
essentially. They're all the same species somehow.
Maybe
Aren't the
accepting
Jag
demons.
humongous though?
they are. Thank
mean,
goodness the Toblakai are also humongous, so, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, we know Karsten raped that woman and got her pregnant.
yeah, that girl.
And Toblakai are much bigger than Jag.
Mhm.
Okay,
They are.
They're bigger, yeah.
Oh, I've been picturing the jacket bigger.
Jagged
than
are
they
like
then.
7 feet tall. Tublakai are like 8 or 9.
Mm.
there's a really cool chart online that shows like all the different, I guess, quote unquote species and their height relative to each other.
Hmm.
I'll just find it and send it in the DMs.
Just
It-
wait till
it's
you
very
see the Kachane Shamal Jagged hybrid. Now that thing doesn't mess around.
Wait, that exists?
That chart has spoilers on it though.
It
Does it?
Yeah. I looked at it after our last episode, and that's actually how I found out that Lorik was Tice Leosin.
Okay, I did not see that
Before I
part.
read it. Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's
sorry.
character names under each sample.
That's true.
Well, anybody who's read this far knows all of these names already, so it's not going to be a problem.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But don't
Got it.
recommend it to your friend who picked up Gardens of the Moon yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we know every one of these characters.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah, now, as of today's episode. That concludes this episode. If you want to join the read along and or contribute listener questions, check us out at the Legendarium's Discord. You can find the link on thelegendarium.com. Also follow us on Twitter at Green Team Pod for updates and fun times. Check out the Legendarium podcast for Wheel of Time, Cosmere, Lord of the Ring content, and so much more. Thank you to our panelists, Ashaman, JasnahAsABoy, and BefuddledPanda. I'm Hurinfan. Until next time.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And pew pew.
Sure, ciao. It'd be hard not to discuss the God is Not Willing on our spoilers episode, Ash.
Yes. Well, maybe we just should.
Maybe we could talk about it later.
Yeah. Because, oh,
Yeah, did you see the dramatic persona?
yes. I'm like, this checks out.
Oh no. You guys stop teasing.
Ooh, it's so good already.
Yeah, chapter.
I don't understand how that man thinks he's gotten worse at writing, because he just hasn't. He's just wrong about that. I wonder if Steve's a fan of Final Fantasy.
I doubt it.
Never know.
Why?
I don't think he plays video games. And
Karsa pretty much exactly makes the Buster Sword, but out of flint. Or obsidian.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I just don't have a. He doesn't give off as a fan
Gamer
of
vibe.
Japanese stuff.
Wow. I think Final Fantasy is transcended just Japanese stuff. It's especially 7 is pretty ubiquitous in culture.
I don't know. The Karsa Ikarium thing feels pretty anime.
That was pretty anime.
Steve if I didn't love him already, but he called anime trash in a Tenberry Book episode, and that made me very happy.
Wow.
I can't imagine that he was serious there.
Well, I don't think he said it actually anime is trash, but I think in Tenberry Books, it's like, man, Steve, he has to watch anime. He's a big fan of anime because like all this stuff is like anime. And he comes on and he's like, man, what's with all this anime trash? He's like, I do not watch anime.
I usually don't, but I've been watching Berserk and reading it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, man, bad time to pick that up.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, that's why I picked it up.
Oh, it's why you picked it up. Interesting.
I had been thinking
Brave
about it
move.
for a while, and then he died, and I was like, okay.
Now it's forever unfinished. Better start it.
Well, I wanted to see like why everybody was grieving his
Sure.
like impact on the genre, and it wasn't just anime people; it was like fantasy kids too. So I was like, all right, I need to see what has brought these like disparate communities together to grieve this one person.
I doubt I'll pick that one up, but
He has Karsa's sword too.
I don't hate anime as much as I pretend to.
yeah, you totally have a bunch of guilty pleasure anime that you watch, eh? I think Steve would really like some Studio Ghibli kind of stuff. Like
I
Grave of the Fireflies, I
agree.
think he would appreciate a lot.
Pompoko.
Man, that's weird.
It
I
is.
think
It is.
he would appreciate a lot of the like spiritual, environmental, right,
Mhm.
like aspects of Miyazaki's
That's why I brought up
Right away.
Pompoko. That's what it's all about.
And
Yeah.
Asuka.
That's one thing I really like about Steve. He has a very deep respect for shamanistic wisdom, essentially.
Mm.
Because a lot of modern thought is that all those they were just ignorant savages who didn't know where the lightning came from. But they had a lot of wisdom, and he even wrote an essay about it. Like science got to the moon, but the shamans were already there.
Oh.
It's
Is that safe to
interesting
read?
think about. I think so. I'll give it a quick look over if you want.
Okay.
The last anime I watched was The Shape of Voice, which is about the deaf girl getting bullied. I liked it a lot.
Mm. I haven't watched very much recently, so.
Before that, it was like 2 years maybe.
I liked this stuff by the guy who did Perfect Blue and Akira and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, Satoshi Kon.
Sure, I knew that.
Tokyo Godfathers is quite good.
Oh, I think you may have recommended that to me. I need to watch
It's a
that.
Christmas movie.
Maybe you should wrap up the episode.
Nah.
Yeah.
Seems pretty off topic.
Let's give Hurin way more stuff to edit.
He's gonna keep it all in.
Yeah, of course.
Yep, every bit. So, yeah, I have no idea what I'm going to cut this episode.